These are two Partsman special motorcycles. Both of them are very 80s, and both of them have a sport touring focus in mind. With one being remarkable and the other being remarkably unremarkable, how do they compare? And should you get one? Let's find out.
We get a lot of cool bikes through the shop, and right now we have two extra cool bikes in the form of these two retro sport tourers. One is a 1987 Yamaha Radian 600. The other is a 1984 Honda Nighthawk 700s. Since we have both of these bikes in the shop, we felt it was the perfect opportunity to do a little comparison video and see how they stack up against each other.
Now for this comparison, we have 10 categories each on a 10-point scale. Seth and I are each going to give our own ratings for each bike and then average our numbers for a total score for each machine.
These categories are style, tech, power, comfort, handling, fun factor, serviceability, parts availability, cost of entry, and boomer appeal. Let's take a quick look at the bikes and then we'll get to riding. All right, we are on board the Nighthawk. Now I know a lot of you guys requested a video on this Nighthawk, so having the Radian in here was actually the perfect excuse to make kind of a combined video. It's about a 10-minute ride from the shop to here to get to a ride location, and that is the first time I've ridden this bike. So in those first 10 minutes I've become well acquainted with this thing and I have admittedly fallen in love. Alrighty. Here we go. So, the Yamaha Radian. This particular model is a 1987. And we are going on a bit of a trek to just feel out these two bikes and compare how they feel. So the first thing I want to talk about is comfort. And let me tell you, this thing has a really, really squishy seat in a good way. I don't know if it's the original foam, but it is very good. And so far this thing is very comfortable. I love the handlebar position. It's very, I don't know, we kind of sit in the bike, and with this long front end, it feels like it's, I would compare it more to like an ADV bike as far as riding position, but it is just, it's really good. Great visibility, you know, mirrors are good. The little fairing does do a little bit. You can get behind it. You know, hydraulic clutch, it's very light, shifts very smooth. The dash, I mean, how cool is this thing? It's like a fighter pilot. 6 gear says overdrive. How 80s is that? It feels like it is a capable bike to daily. Like shaft drive, low maintenance, no valve adjustments. It's just like you could be comfortable on this thing all day, and it's equally as at home on these twisties. It's just really good.
As far as comfort goes, I mean, it's not bad. It's got pretty good ergonomics. It's not horribly positioned. Like, it's comfortable to ride. Granted, I'm a pretty short guy, so this bike fits my body quite nicely. A taller rider would probably be a little cramped, but for my stature, it's pretty nice. But just about anybody could ride it without really major issues. The bars, they're placed pretty nicely. You know, you're not bent over them in a sporty position, but you're also not like up high like on a touring bike or anything like that. It's a very middle of the road position. But it is really quite comfortable on long trips. The seat is okay. You know, you could probably find some aftermarket options with a more comfortable gel seat or additions to it or something like that. I won't say that it is the most comfortable riding bike that I've ever been on, but it is adequate.
Now, as far as power is concerned,
DJ having way too much fun on the Nighthawk.
yes, about 80 horsepower this thing. Once it winds up, it's like a symphony. So 80 horsepower in any bike, that's a kind of like a sweet spot. I feel like I'm very satisfied at 80. You know, 60 horsepower, that's cool too. Any more, you know, that's just a bonus, but 80 horsepower is really sweet. Ooh. Oh yeah, 8,000 is where it comes on. It's just buttery smooth.
Now, the bike, from a power standpoint, it's pretty quick, you know, like it's not a sport bike that's gonna tear the doors off of anything, but it is quick, you know, you give it some beans and it will bean. Plenty enough power to put a smile on your face and get you in a bit of trouble. And for a stock exhaust, this thing sounds really good. It's nice and throaty, and it has just a good inline four growl to it. Not as good of a growl as that thing, of course, but it is really fun to listen to. the Radian in particular, I mean, there's a lot of good things to say about this bike. It's just incredibly smooth, and it has a very consistent power band. Like, you can lug this thing through just about any gear and it's pretty content and very predictable. There's no sudden explosion of power from the engine at any range. It just pulls. And through this corner, for example, pop it in the sixth, and it is just happy as can be in any gear.
Now, as far as handling is concerned, I am no professional rider, so I'm not going to be pushing this thing like crazy. It's also a customer's bike. But the 16, from what I can tell, it does turn in really quick at lower speeds, and it just kind of falls into the corner. It just feels very natural. And overall, it feels like it wants me to lean more. It's very inviting. It's just fun. I can't get over that word. It's just a fun bike. So, on off the throttle, pretty smooth. There is a little bit of that slack that you get with anything, but it doesn't feel like it pinion jacks very much. Obviously this bike is shaft drive. Oh, he's on it. Brakes feel great. I know this thing has an anti-dive system on it where it utilizes brake pressure in the forks to prevent dive. Seems like it works. And so yeah, being a bike from the mid to late 80s, suspension technology definitely moved forward from the bikes I normally ride, which are from the, you know, late 60s to mid 70s. And so you can definitely tell that it's more modern, it's more capable over bumps. It's just really good.
Yeah, granted, late 80s technology, you know, standard forks and typical rear shocks. I'm not really anticipating modern R6 performance from the suspension, naturally. But it does do its job. The brakes, they're fine. Got twin discs up front and a drum in the rear, but they are more than sufficient. Now, with that 16 front wheel and the aforementioned suspension, it really dives into corners quite nicely, and it's very fun and very lightweight to just wing this thing all over the place, and it will just do it all day, every day. It's just so nimble and easy to throw it around. You'll find that a lot of things on this bike are very middle of the road, but that's kind of the appeal of it, is it's very good at a lot of things. It's not perfect at anything, but it does do the job very well for what it is. Traits I mentioned before don't really correlate to what I think the fun factor is. Because if you ask me, that fun factor is about a 10. Now, I have a bit of personal sentiment to this particular model. I pretty well started my motorcycling career on a Yamaha Radian. I think it was a 86 model. And that was the bike that I did a lot of traveling on in high school. I started technically on a Honda CB350. It was a 71, I think. So going from that to this machine was like going from the Stone Age to on the moon. It was an absolute rocket. And granted, it didn't run as good as it could have because I was 16 and had no idea what I was doing. But it was still my relief from the world. Like, it was my escape. And it was an excellent escape. I rode that thing everywhere. I did lots of dumb things on it. And I just have a lot of sentimental value to this machine. And getting back on it after all these years is really refreshing. Like, it's just as fun, if not more fun than as it was before. But yeah, like, it was really fun to get this bike. Like, a little over a week ago, this thing was sitting in a shed and neglected and taken apart and just poorly maintained. It went from that state to just ripping through the corners, having the time of my life on it. And man, it never gets old. It's so rewarding. So that, in combination with my connection to this bike, might make me a little bit biased, but I just adore this machine. And I think it's an excellent bike for anyone thinking about getting into a vintage motorcycle that's kind of more of a middleweight class, but, oh, beaver. More of a middleweight class that's still able to go on the interstate and do literally anything you need it to. The Radian is more than adequate.
Okay, we're coming off of the Radian. That's not a Radian. Okay, we're coming off of the Nighthawk. This thing is lovely. And we're getting ready to hop on the Radian. So I've only taken this thing around the parking lot. So this is going to be the first time I've really ridden a Radian. And I'm pretty excited about it. It's very small, seems very nimble. So let's get to it.
Now I'll be hopping off of the Radian and jumping to the Nighthawk. So I'm sure I'm going to hate it and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, you're going to hate it.
Absolutely.
Thumbs down.
I'm
out of 10.
I'm dreading this experience.
I know. Another day at work. The first time I get to ride, this is going to be on Twisty Road.
You're going to love it.
That's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, yeah.
man, this is gonna be awesome. Now, for those unaware, the Nighthawk has been a dream bike of mine. One second. Oh boy. The Nighthawk has been a dream bike of mine pretty much since, like I said before, I was 16 and had the Radian. I started longing for some of the 80s Honda F models and the Nighthawk. And now I get to rip one. And boy howdy, it is living up to every bit of the expectations I had of it.
I like this thing. It feels way faster than I expected. Like modern power. It'll just go 75, which is, that's surprising. Like, that's a 750, 80 horsepower. This is what, 65?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel slower.
No.
Really good so far.
Now, let's talk about fun factor. 10. Just 10.
That was good.
Just waiting for that truck to get further down.
You know, I hate to acknowledge it, but I think the Radian handles better.
I was just saying, I feel like that handles better, or is at least more confidence inspiring, but I have spent longer time on that seat.
Yeah, like I found the Radian a lot easier to dip into corners and, you know, feel how it's going to respond. This thing, I don't know why, but like just the way I am on the seat, for some reason when I go to dive in a corner, it's not as reassuring. But I also have ridden that a lot more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like equal and opposite responses on that. This thing's great. With a little fairing on the front, like a cool retro fairing, this would be awesome.
That's really all it needs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Woo! Oh, this thing sings. The Radian sounds good. This sounds so much more gooder. Sorry, you're not getting back on this. Hey, puppy.
that's going to be a sick shot.
Yeah.
That was like it felt like some James Bond shit.
Okay, we're done riding the bikes and we have some opinions. First off, I was really impressed by the Radian. I don't know how I've never really experienced one of those, but that was a great bike.
It is.
I mean, no wonder you missed yours so bad. Okay, first up on the list, style. This is the first thing you see when you come up to a bike for the Nighthawk. Style-wise, I don't know if it gets much cooler than that as far as like peak 80s design. All of the colors they had available were just awesome, especially the 86 and that red, white, blue.
86 is the best.
That was awesome. But that red and black is awesome. It's got the mini fairing on it and stuff. Honestly, I gotta go 10 out of 10. I know that's starting off strong, but I'm pretty confident in that number. How about you?
I mean, we both know that I'm a complete Nighthawk fanboy.
Yeah.
Generally, the F-bikes of the 80s from Honda and just that general design are really up my alley for some reason, and the Nighthawk is kind of the culmination of that for me.
Yeah.
So it's an easy 10.
Well, on to the Radian. Some could say maybe it's a face only a mother could love, but...
Ouch.
Sorry.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, but the Radian, it does look cool. I think they both have a similar vibe with like the kicked up rear of the tank, you know, it kind of has a katana vibe in a way. It's very 80s. I personally love the wheels on that. They're so funky looking.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a good looking bike, but it's not for everybody.
No, it's not. It just kind of has this giant rectangle of a headlight hanging out in the middle of nothingness.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to accentuate it.
Yeah.
So,
oh, you know what accentuates it is the different size gauges.
listen, I think the two very size gauges are like a peak design choice. You know, like,
We'll see if that peak design choice reflects in his rating number.
because you need the big old speedometer to see, you know, the triple digits that you're going to be pulling on this thing.
Yeah, and the tack is this damn big, and I'm like, where? I can't see. So anyway,
You didn't even know what the red line was.
no, I didn't because I couldn't see the gauge. So on the Radian though, I feel like this is harsh, but I'm gonna give it a 5.
You know what? That's not actually as bad as I thought you were going to do.
Yeah, because it's not gonna be for everybody. It's middle of the road.
Honestly, even though I have a lot of attachment to the Radian, I'm probably going to be a 5 as well.
Okay. I
Like,
promise we'll differentiate our numbers eventually.
yeah, I think they look okay, but stylistically won't be the main reason that you're drawn to them.
Yeah, unless you just want something 80s and like they do have an appeal.
They do.
Yeah. So tech, I think this is where the bikes are going to differentiate pretty much the most.
Definitely.
So the Nighthawk was kind of designed to showcase some really cool tech. It's got a really cool, you know, instrument cluster. It's got a digital gauge readout or gear readout. It's got a fuel gauge. It's got the anti-dive front end on it. It has adjustable suspension, hydraulic lifters or cam followers. Like, it has a lot of tech going for it, where the Radian is intentionally simple. And that's the charm of the bike though.
It is, because the Radian, it is very simple. There's not a lot going on. And in spite of that, it's still a very good bike.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the Nighthawk has all that, and that's part of what makes it cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's like the tech is great. It just, does the tech only add to the cool factor or does it add to the performance of it? So who knows?
Yeah.
But as far as tech, I think for an 80s bike, probably a 7, which I feel like is kind of a weak number. I don't know.
Well, like, what other bikes of the 80s had gear position indicators?
Well, I think like a lot of the Suzukis, they had them.
Well, yeah, they kind of had those for a while,
And
actually.
anti-dive wasn't new.
No.
So it's It just has some good stuff, but it wasn't like a revolutionarily tech savvy or tech heavy bike. So, yeah, 7. You know.
Okay.
Radian, I'm going to keep this one really easy. It's like a 3. You know, it has forks, it has wheels, it has brakes. You know.
Yeah, it's not going to impress in the tech department.
Yeah, but that's not a negative.
No, it's not. I'm in pretty close agreement on the Nighthawk, so I would say 7 is a fair number. And the Radian, well, you see,
it would be like the nicest Amish buggy.
Dang. All right, fine. I'll give it a 4 because I like it.
Okay. It the stuff that it does have, it utilizes well.
Yes.
So even though they may not be the highest performance brakes, I think they work really well for that bike.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the best suspension, but I thought it was great. You know. Power-wise, I think this is going to be interesting. So after riding the bikes back to back, I started out on the Nighthawk. I thought it had great power. I thought it had great mid-range. I was very impressed by it, as you guys saw in the clips. When I got on the Radian, I immediately had to rethink that. The Radian just has great mid-range. You know, it was fun at like any RPM, where the Nighthawk, even though it was fun, you did have to wring that one out. And that's fun in its own way. So the Nighthawk, 80 horsepower, the Radian has like 60, something like that.
Ish.
60-ish. So Nighthawk is heavier, made good power. I liked it. It's nothing spectacular, but for an 80s bike, 80 horsepower is kind of just a sweet number. I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. Where are you at on this?
It's honestly a tough call. Like, they're powerful in different ways. The Nighthawk is powerful. The Radian feels powerful.
And that's a good point. That's something that's kind of hard to communicate until you ride the bikes.
I would say if you're looking for a street machine that's like got Busa numbers, then neither of these are going to be your bike. But the Nighthawk is pretty quick for being an 80s shaft drive sport touring bike.
And with a super trap, it doesn't matter how much power it makes. It just sounds good.
It will sound amazing.
It just sounds amazing.
And even so, I was a little let down by the Nighthawk's power. Like, I was hoping for a little bit more, which is why I'll give it a 6 in the power department.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so this is what's going to impress me. The Radian, I'm going to make it an 8.
Whoa.
It makes less power, but it feels more powerful in a way. It made great use of the power. It felt smooth. It felt like it could go 75 miles an hour, no problem. So it can keep up with modern traffic. Granted, it's a smaller bike. It may not be as comfortable, which we'll get to, but I thought it just utilized its power in a more fun way. And I thought it just felt more powerful, even though we know it wasn't.
I don't know. Like, I feel like when we were both ripping down the curves on this thing, we were keeping in pace with each other pretty well. Like, I didn't really notice.
Even that drag race.
Yeah.
You know, you got 80 horsepower through shaft drive. That's going to be a little drivetrain loss versus a lightweight 600cc 60 horse through chain drive. They get kind of close.
They did, and that was impressive to me. So I think the Radian, for what it is, being a 600 air-cooled, like, vintage bike, it's pretty quick, and it will not disappoint in terms of just how much fun it is to rip it around.
Just fun.
So I'll give it a 7.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Comfort. How about you lead comfort off?
I think the Nighthawk is delightfully comfortable. Like, you are nice and low in the saddle. Your arms are not in a particularly sporty or low position. They're just kind of hanging out. And the seat is very well padded, and everything is just well within reach and easy to use. So I would say the Nighthawk gets a solid 8 on comfort for me.
He put that on my side, but I'm going to put an 8 as well. So, I'm just going to, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought the Nighthawk was great. it has more sport and more touring versus the Radian. But on the touring department, you could go all day on that bike, be totally happy.
Oh yeah.
The Radian, I am gonna give this one a 6. Just because, you know, I know it was comfortable while we rode it, but I know that over the course of a day, that bike would wear on me. Now, Seth and I are both, I don't want to say vertically challenged.
That's a fair statement.
So I'm like 5'8", and we fit the bike really well. But anybody taller than us is going to feel a little bit cramped. So that's why I give it a 6 in that department.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much on the money with that. Like, because I have personal experience with the Radian, I can say I did ride it for like 100-mile trips at a time back in the day, and it is kind of taxing. You know, it'd be your standard fatigue, like a little sore in the wrist. Of course, your butt's going to be sore. But that's to be expected on about any bike if you ride it long enough. But between the Nighthawk and the Radian is it's a little lower on the scale. I'll give it a 6 in comfort.
Yeah. The handling, okay. This was another weird one. So I started off on the Nighthawk and I switched to the Radian. I stepped off the Nighthawk thinking it was a fantastic handling bike. I loved it. It was confidence inspiring. And before I rode the Radian, you're like, I think the Radian handles better. So I hopped on the Radian and I was very impressed. It's just a light bike. It's easy to flick around. I think the lightness is what really pays dividends on this bike. And so it was surprising. Not a professional rider. I'm not out there dragging me or anything like that. So there's definitely going to be better bikes out there. So I think I'm going to give it,
You're gonna hurt some feelings, aren't you?
I don't know. I kind of want to do a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Nighthawk or Radian?
The Radian.
Oh, Radian. Okay.
So, who knows? The Nighthawk, to me, I felt like it was a little bit more confidence inspiring. I think with the tech that it had, the anti-dive, the better dampening, it was more docile over bumps and stuff. And so I felt more confident on that bike. But I did notice the weight, and so I'm going to give it a 7, just because of more of that confidence-inspiring part.
Well, I think the Nighthawk, for all of its praises that I will sing and how much I love it, in spite of that, the handling leaves a little to be desired, personally. I'm going to give the Nighthawk a 5 in handling. Over bumps and things where your forks and your rear shocks are going to come into play, it absorbs those way better than the Radian does, because it's just a more fine-tuned system than the Radian has to offer. There's no preload adjustment or anything like that on the Radian. It's just set from the factory. So I think a 5 is going to suit the Nighthawk for general cornering and the general confidence I felt when running it around corners and that sort of thing. The Radian, I think, was a 7 in handling for me.
I'm surprised you're not going higher on that one. You were singing its praises.
I was.
But 7's fine, you know? I think that's a good number.
Like, I'm also...
I don't disagree, you know?
Yeah. I just thought it was a lot more nimble and flickable in the corners, and I really thought that I could lay this thing down to the pegs on the corners and be pretty confident in it, so...
Yeah. And this leads into the fun factor. So this is the easiest category. They're both super fun bikes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
They're both 10s as far as I'm concerned. For different reasons.
For different reasons, okay. What's the reason for the 10 on the Radian?
I think it's knowing that it's kind of a part spin bike and it's just kind of cobbled together and it's nothing amazing, but for some reason it still makes you smile and you really enjoy riding it.
Yeah, I think the power delivery was great. I
Yeah.
mentioned a lot of the mid-range and stuff. It's lightweight, flickable. It was just a hoot, you know? I mean, we bought that bike for cheap. Less investment. There's like a little bit less financial risk, you know? Like you don't want to damage a really nice bike. And that one, show a little bit less remorse with it, but it loved it.
Yeah, it took every bit of what we could throw at it.
It was great. It's just fun.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give the Radian a 9 on the fun department.
Okay.
And I'm only gonna give that a 9, let's see, because I'm gonna give the Nighthawk a 10 because it sounds amazing.
I like those numbers. I'm gonna give the Radian a 10 in fun because of what I mentioned before, just how fun it is to just tear through the entire range of the engine and just listen to that thing sing. And I think it's just because of how small and light it is, it just feels a lot faster than it's going. And the Nighthawk, I'm also going to give a 10 because the knowledge of, hey, I'm riding a Nighthawk is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it just, you know that it looks cool from the outside. It makes people get, they think, whoa, what was that? So at least it does for me anyway. Or might just be boomers that are attracted to these.
I don't know. One of them's going to win the boomer appeal category for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Nighthawk, it's like the aesthetics of it. It's very retro. It just has that look to it. It has the sound. That adds to the fun factor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not all about just how it rides. Now, we wrench on bikes every day. Parts availability. What are we thinking here?
Are we talking used or?
With parts availability, what I want to consider, anything you want to get. Sometimes you have to find used parts. Sometimes you can get NOS. So we'll try to generalize it. Like if you need a part for the bike, can you find it? And is it too expensive?
Okay. As far as the Nighthawk's concerned, because we recently just redid the one that we were riding, we rebuilt forks and went through the suspension of the thing and the brakes and
carburetors, of course.
Carburetors. And frankly, for those like normally expendable parts like carburetor, float bowl seals and needles and fork seals, all that stuff is pretty easy to get. I think general maintenance items are easy to get for the Nighthawk.
Yeah.
It's just if you find that you need a side cover or your headlight cowl's busted or the headlight's broken, those are going to be a bit more challenging to find on the used market.
Yeah, like that tailpiece, the cowl, those are Nighthawk 700s specific.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of them have been painted, so I know those parts are expensive and harder to find.
Yeah.
You know, you've had a harder time tracking them down.
Yeah.
So kind of case in point for that one.
But if you're just getting a nice model that's kind of halfway put together and has everything it needs and is in okay shape and you're just looking to freshen it up, I think you'll be fine. So I would give it
That's good. I'm going to give it a 5.
a 5. Okay. I'll give it a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Radian, what's funny is we really haven't had to look for many parts for that thing.
No.
We've been fixing it for free.
Yeah, which is pretty cool if I say so myself.
Been pulling a generic, pickup coil off the shelf, and then we fixed the CDI, robbing a transistor from another CDI, and it's like, does that help in the parts availability, or are we lucky?
I think it's just a matter of we haven't had to look. We've just had what we needed.
Yeah, and that's been pretty lucky. The parts hoard provides.
It does.
That's a tough call, but I feel like that one is probably going to be easy to find parts for. Without having as much tech, they're less specific parts.
Right. And they made a bunch of Radians too.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that it's probably an 8.
Okay.
I don't know what's going to make it a 10.
I don't know.
For future category, like stuff just falls in your hands. I don't know.
Yeah. I will give it a 7.
Okay. Serviceability. So you've been elbows deep in both of those things. I know the Nighthawk, one of the big draws or one of the cool tech points is like you don't have to adjust the valves as an example. So
that's very nice.
That's a cool aspect of it. Some bikes like the CB750 single overhead cams, you can adjust the valves, but if you need to pull the valve cover off, you got to pull the engine out of it. That sucks. Some of those the 80s bikes, they're a lot better as far as the frame design, either having a detachable lower cradle to allow, engine removal or something like that. Generally, they're more serviceable.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing like with the Radian though, I mentioned we had to fix the CDI. CDIs are hit and miss. They're great technology for the day, but that does make it harder to get parts for because it's like when they go bad, you can't fix them necessarily, unlike a points bike where you can replace a condenser or replace a coil or something. Like, you have a better chance of fixing those.
Yeah, like, you could perhaps find somebody that knows what they're doing that could, like, look at a circuit board and see what's wrong with the CDI unit, but it's not going to be nearly as easy as working on a points-based bike. So, which both of these are CDI bikes.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I don't know, would deteriorate the reliability standpoint, maybe?
Potentially. As they get older, as they age out. You know, another thing is that we know full well with your Nighthawk, we've got to address the starter clutch.
We do, and the really sucky thing about a starter clutch going out on a Nighthawk 700s is you have to split the cases to fix that.
Yeah. So that's buried deep within the engine, just like a CBX.
Yeah.
So that sucks. And apparently that's kind of a common fail point. So even though it's like it's reliable, it's meant to have no service, the hardest thing to get to is kind of the common fail point, which sucks.
Very much so. And I suspect quite a few of them were probably parked for that reason.
Yeah. So as far as serviceability for the Nighthawk, this one's probably going to end up being, I want to say, a 4 because of some of the more detrimental hits. No, it's, you know, I'm just going to go with a 4. The Radian, it's a simple bike. Its beauty is in the simplicity. It's going to have great parts availability. I'm going to give it like an 8, you know.
Okay.
If not, maybe even probably a 9.
I was going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm confident in the 9 then.
Yeah, like I just said, I'll give it a 9 because, not whatever that is. I'll give it a 9. You know, the forks, they're more simple to work on. There's not any of the preload stuff in there. There's not the anti-dive you have to mess with. The chain is self-explanatory. It's not shaft drive. Not that shaft drive needs much service, but if that is something that fails...
Which it really shouldn't, though. Now I think
theory.
about it, it's like I kind of want to bump my Nighthawk number up.
Yeah.
Because of the shaft drive. That's a less maintenance.
Yeah, and that's nice to not have to worry about. But after being a man who's had Nighthawk carburetors off a couple of times now, that sucks. So I'm going to give it a 4 as well, mostly because I'm a little spiteful about the whole starter clutch situation still. And, you know, it's not impossible to work on these things. It's just it might be a little more challenging to do some of the more labor-intensive things on this bike than others.
Yeah. Is that a 4?
Now it is.
Okay. Cost of entry. This one, I don't know, we've talked about this one. So the Radian is a much less expensive bike, and especially in the used kind of like retro scene, it seems like the Nighthawks really command a little bit extra money by maybe about $2,000.
Yeah.
So what do you think a going rate for a Nighthawk is?
I think you could get a okay daily rider for like $2,500.
I think
maybe.
that's low.
And I'm meaning like dents in the tank, faded plastics, you know, some stuff might not work or be broken. That would be what I would think.
Yeah, but if you wanted like a good one, like a pretty good sorted one, like let's say the one we rode, that's gonna run you at least $4,000 in my mind, if
like,
not more.
Yeah, ready to go, hop on, turn the key, and ride kind of thing is gonna be $4,000 for sure.
And I can see the value in that bike. Like after riding it, it's got a lot going for it.
It does.
You know, the Radian, it's just a lot less expensive, and they're not as popular, so they don't have that like popularity tax.
Yeah.
So in the used market, like they're like $1,500 all day long
For a runner rider.
for a good one.
Yeah.
You know, so like cost of entry, the Radian, considering how freaking fun it is, the dollar per fun is like peak.
Yeah.
So like, what do you put it at as far as cost of entry?
I'll give it a 9.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much more fun you're gonna have on 2 wheels for the price than that.
I'm gonna give it a 10.
Okay.
So it's a lot of bike for the money. When you find they're just cheap fun bikes. After riding it today, I want one more. They're just really good. And unfortunately, this video, who knows? It might make them popular, and that might jack the price up. So I'm sorry, guys.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I think they could command more of a price for the fun factor. As far as the cost of entry for the Nighthawk, like I said, a good one, $4,000 to $5,000. It's worth it. It's a good bike. You know, I can understand why they command that price, but the cost of entry is a little higher, so it's going to score less on that. Considering we get a lot of bikes for far less than $4,000. This one's gonna have to be like maybe a 5.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I could either do that or a 4.
I'm gonna land firmly in the 4 category.
Yeah.
We're on Marketplace a really kind of disgusting amount of time of our lives.
What are you talking about?
And in that time that we've been on Marketplace, Nighthawks for a cheap, reasonable price, even project ones, are few and far between.
So like as an example, there's a red and black Nighthawk on Marketplace locally right now, and it says it needs a starter. You know, we know it needs a starter clutch. That's splitting the cases and all that stuff. And it's like, that's $1,000, you know?
And no title.
And no title, you know? That should be like a $300 bike, you know?
Yeah.
But it's still $1,000, and it's a little frustrating, you know? Because we want one really bad.
We do.
Well, he has one.
Technically I do. It just needs a starter clutch.
Needs a starter clutch. You know?
So, yeah, I'm going to go a 4 for cost of entry. The Nighthawk is very cool, and for that reason, it's got a little bit more of a price tag to it.
So this next category is pretty fun. So this is called Boomer Appeal. Now, I don't want to make this sound like we're against boomers or a negative thing. The theory behind this, let's say you take either of these bikes to bike night, how many boomers are going to come up and talk to you about the bike? You know, I think that's the best way we can frame this, because we all know riding vintage motorcycles is not about getting chicks or anything like that.
Nope.
You get dudes' phone numbers, all right? And that's just how it is. So if we were to take these bikes to bike night, the Nighthawk, it's more popular. It's going to have more of a boomer appeal. It's more striking visually. Let's say at a bike night, you'll probably get 7 boomers come up to you. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
1 per boomer?
Yeah, 1 per
Okay.
boomer. The Radian.
Okay, yeah.
2. Sorry.
I see it. Just explain yourself.
Oh, I knew a guy with one of those, and then they keep walking.
I got that a lot when I had mine. Like, I had an uncle's brother's cousin that had one of those back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people have a direct connection to them.
No.
That's fine.
It is.
That's why they're cheap.
And that's why they're awesome. I think the boomer appeal for the Nighthawk is going to be an 8. Because I feel like there's a lot of people like growing up in that time period that had like posters on the wall with this bike, perhaps, or like they saw the ads and they were more popular back then. And I think a lot more people will be drawn to it. The Radian, I mean, yeah. It's just not as prominent. It wasn't groundbreaking because it was so, you know, basic, I guess you could call it. That doesn't make it bad. It just wasn't as recognizable as like the ZXs and the GPZs and the GSXRs back then. So I'm going to give it a 2 as well.
Okay. So that is our list on that one. All right, we're going to tally up our scores and see where we end up with this.
Math.
Calculator. You know, my teacher said that you would never have a calculator in your pocket.
Proved her wrong.
All right. Nighthawk, I have added up my category, and I am at a 70 out of 100 for said Nighthawk. All right, what is our figure for the Nighthawk?
It is a 68, which I'm kind of surprised mine's a little lower than yours.
Nice.
Nice.
Our average score is a 69 on the Nighthawk. I'm really curious as to where the Radians can stack up.
Me too.
Okay. I was really curious what this would be. My number for the Radian is 66.
Okay. Interesting. Mine is also a 66.
Oh boy. So if we add those two together and divide them by 2, our average... I'm just kidding. It's 66.
Let me do some math here.
Let me do some math. Well, here is your board.
I'm pleased to see that the Nighthawk did take first.
Well, there you have it. We have 69 to 66. And I think that's pretty awesome in terms of the Radian. The Nighthawk is a really iconic motorcycle. It's really good. But the Radian held its own.
Quite well, I would say. And you would think that not particularly noteworthy inline 4 from the 80s would not have much to do in terms of competition with the Nighthawk, but I mean, the numbers say otherwise.
The maths. So I think, you know, both of these bikes being part spin bikes, they're not going to be perfect, but yeah, the Cycle World article on the Radian, it kind of talks about the bike being unremarkable, but it's like remarkably unremarkable. It's surprisingly good for what it is. I think the beauty and the simplicity of the bike, the lightness, it's just good.
Yeah.
Nighthawk is great. The Radian's right there. So tell us what you guys think. Do you want another bike comparison or another review? How did we do on our categories? What did you guys think? So anyway, I hope you guys like this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.